Well, Governor DeSantis signed a new state budget into law this week. It totals nearly $117 billion in spending. It amounts to about the same as last year. Among the items in the budget, $1.25 billion to increase starting teacher pay to roughly $48,000 a year, $1 billion for Everglades restoration, $370 million to speed up the construction of road projects around the state, a 3% pay raise for state workers, reduction in tolls for commuters on the state's toll roads, and $116 million for an emergency management warehouse in Auburndale along Interstate 4. It's a lucrative no-bid project that will go to an out-of-state company that is given heavily to Republican politicians in Florida. Here's what the governor had to say about the budget.
We are providing historic support for education, historic support for conservation and environment and protecting natural resources, historic support for transportation and infrastructure, and major tax relief.
The governor did veto almost $1 billion worth of projects passed by the legislature, which drew criticism from Democrats. Party Chair Nikki Fried said the budget does not come close to meeting the needs of Floridians. She said in a statement, this year's veto list includes millions of dollars in canceled stormwater projects, school safety improvements, and local infrastructure fixes, things that actually improve our day-to-day lives. The teachers union was also not happy. There is $200 million in the new budget for salary increases for teachers, but the head of the Florida Teachers Union says this $200 million equates to a salary increase in every classroom teacher's paycheck of about $125 a month, and nowhere near the $15,000 annual increase needed to match the national average for teacher salaries. The only thing the budget guarantees is that Florida's teachers will remain near the bottom in average pay. So, Alex, is the governor putting money where the state needs it the most?
Yes and no. I think that one of the winners is the environment, for sure. The fact that $300 million plus has finally been set aside as the voters intended for our environmental purposes and preservation is really something that's very positive. However, what are the big issues in the minds of Floridians, Rob? Property insurance. Didn't see anything in your list about helping give relief to Floridians on high property insurance rates. We have the highest car insurance rates in the country. Oh my gosh, I just got my bill for 6 months for my car insurance. Utility rates are increasing. And this week we're looking at flooding. That's the big story of the week is the flooding. And we can't even talk about the impacts of sea level rise or climate change, and we're drowning.
Deborah, what did you think of the governor's budget?
Well, I like so many aspects of the governor's budget. Literacy, safety, school safety. There was actually funding for insurance, the reduction homeowners insurance, and also to mitigate the issue with condominiums not having the reserves. So there was money there. I always like when you set aside money to pay down your debt, because interest on debt, it doesn't do any good. That is money that you can put into the needs. I think so many of the city of Tampa was very happy. University of South Florida was happy. The sheriff was very happy. I look at the budget as a Christmas list. The lobbyists, the cities, counties, they go in for 50 things, hoping they'll get 5. And it's just like your child. They're going to give you 25 things, and then Christmas morning, man, they open it and they couldn't be happier. That's where we are. We can't fund everything, but the priorities were funded.
Bob, there were some things in there. The governor cut more than $200 million in water treatment projects. He cut $26 million in arts projects, and he cut millions to fight the opioid crisis around the state. That's where some of the critics came in and said, well, this is not helpful.
Yeah, Rob, I think there are some good points in this budget and some things that he did well and that I would support. I think paying down debt is an important component of that. But I do think if we're going to be a world-class economy, we need to start investing in some of the things for the future. Things that don't necessarily pay off right now, but down the road will reap dividends, whether it's education, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's stormwater. The nitty-gritty nuts and bolts kinds of things that government needs to do and do well, I think were misplaced in this particular budget. I think cities, in the case of Tampa, there were a couple things that we did well, and I know Travis may want to talk about some of the public safety things in Ybor City that the governor supported. But in good times like this, when there are surpluses, now is when you want to invest in the future and do the things that aren't sexy but that make a difference in the lives of Floridians.
Travis, this was a good year for many states. About 33 states had surpluses in their budget, Florida being one of them. The governor did set aside more money in the rainy day fund. What did you think of the budget?
He did, and he also addressed, though, here in Tampa, of course, he made his budget announcement here just a couple of days ago. He addressed Nikki's concerns about the stormwater. He said, we have funds, we have grants that are available to address some of these stormwater needs, and of course they're very important. Like you said, education, infrastructure. I mean, the priorities are pretty well laid out, and I felt great about the budget.
Alex, there is money devoted to new teachers raising their salaries, and there is money devoted to existing teachers to raise their salaries. The teachers union, though, says it's not enough because we're still going to be one of the last in the nation when it comes to average teacher salaries in the state of Florida.
Well, I think that's an excellent point. We're still going, right now we're, I believe, 49th in teacher funding of all the states, believe it or not. And this is going to move us up maybe a couple of notches. But as we know, we're going to have an important ballot issue here in Hillsborough County to support teachers' salaries, to bring our Hillsborough County teachers' salaries up to at least being equal to Manatee or Sarasota or Pinellas County this fall. So it'll be interesting to see how the voters decide to support that issue.
And there's actually two issues on the ballot, the renewal of the CIT tax in Hillsborough County and this improvement in education.
And they're two different things, and that could be a whole program. I hope you'll do it in the future when we get closer to voting time.
Okay.